So you want to become a photographer. Well, let's talk about this for a little bit because honestly, it feels like everybody and their brother are photographers. You know, I've talked with people about this before, and it just seems like, oh yeah, I'm a photographer because I got my camera phone. I can take some pretty awesome shots on that. Like, I consider myself a photographer. You're a mobile photographer, but that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. But if you're wanting to take photography seriously, like maybe do this as like a side hustle, a hobby, or maybe even your career, let's talk about some of the things you're going to need when it comes to becoming a successful photographer. First of all, you need one of these guys. This is my DSLR. You guys have seen it quite a bit. I've talked with you guys about it quite a bit. I love the thing. And so that's a necessary part about being a photographer is you need a good camera. It doesn't have to be an expensive one. It doesn't have to be like over $1,000. This one wasn't that much, but you need a camera. Secondly, you need a Facebook page. Now, Facebook or Meta, as people now refer to it, is a great way to get some exposure for your photography business. And I know that when I first started, again, I started with with my camera phone. This wasn't the same one, but you guys know that story. But the great thing about Facebook is that when you create a page for your photography, it's free. You don't have to pay an extra monthly fee or annual fee. It's just completely free. You don't have to worry about doing any of that. So, and then third, you need to start establishing connections with other photographers, maybe some photography groups, whether it be on Facebook, there's stuff on LinkedIn, there's stuff on Twitter or X, which I don't understand why but that's off topic. But then there's also there's probably even forums and groups in your local area where you live. Now, establishing connections is key and vital because maybe someone approaches someone that's like, hey, I want these photos taken, but they feel like they don't have those expertise. And they're like, oh, well, I know this person named Tony who has those expertise. Let me reach out to him and let me refer you to him because he's really good. Or I know this lady named Jane that's in this group. She's really good at taking really good photos and that kind of circumstances and such. Let me refer you to her because she's a lot better at that. So, in the point I'm saying, if I can get the words out of my mouth, the point I'm making is that having connections is vital, and it also helps with establishing your presence online. Because honestly, I've had people who have reached out to me before because they were referred by someone else. Someone did like a Facebook search like for photographers in my area, and mine was the first one that came up. And I actually got I got 2 clients that way, honestly. It was pretty great. It was around Christmas time, but that's another story for another time. But so the first one was you need a camera. The second one, you need to establish a Facebook page. Third, you need to really just start establishing those connections. And fourth, but it's also the most important, you need to practice. Practice makes perfect when it comes to photography. I can talk all day giving you all these tips and saying like, hey, do this, do that, do this. But when it comes down to it, it's all about the effort you put in. I say this kind of stuff all the time, and I cannot emphasize it enough that practice makes key. Practice makes key. Practice makes perfect is what I'm trying to say. I get a little excited when I talk about photography. So when it comes down to it, you got to remember those 4 things. Getting a camera, it doesn't have to be expensive. Just don't buy something cheap. But also going along with that, you need to make a Facebook page. You need to either start establishing contacts via social media or just online or out in public in general so you can start getting more clients. And number 4, you need to practice. By following these steps, these are going to help you to be that much more successful as a photographer. Now, does that guarantee that you're going to be a success right out the window? No, it does not. Look, I'm going to be quite honest and blunt with you. Photography's hard. It's a hard art to master. But once you get it down, you get that skill down, it really becomes something that you can start showing the world what you capture through your lens. This is one of the greatest things about being a photographer is that you can bring some light to a world that doesn't have as much light. And so with being a photographer, you have that opportunity. So, you want to become a photographer? Follow these steps, and also make sure that you get a good mentor. I've had a few mentors when it comes to photography. One of them, his name is Greg Sargent. He lives here in the Utah area. Really skilled photographer. I was lucky to be able to call him my mentor when it came to photography. And if you really feel like you need to, go take some classes, like whether it be online or like at a university, a community college, or just somewhere in your area. Take some classes from someone so you can become that much more better of a photographer, and I will see you in the next one.